All right. I want to talk about this guy. His name is Mr. Bo Xilai. Bo Xilai. And Bo Xilai was a very powerful man in China. Very influential, very powerful guy. But he had one simple problem. Bo Xilai did not understand that powers and influence shift. So Bo Xilai believed that once you have power, once you're running things in the Chinese Communist Party, you have it made for the rest of your life. He did not understand how the machine works. The other thing about Bo Xilai, he does not understand that the Chinese Communist Party is a machine, and that if you mess around, you become useless to the machine and you will be chewed and turned into mincemeat by that machine called the Chinese Communist Party. So Bo Xilai running things, Bo Xilai doing well. Bo Xilai was a mayor. Then Bo Xilai being ambitious, he ran up for elections again, and Bo Xilai become more like a minister. He became Minister of Commerce. So Bo Xilai was just running things in China. Not only was he Minister of Commerce, but Bo Xilai started just climbing the ranks in the Chinese Communist Party. He was being responsible for different things. His influence was broadening from just one location to just all across China. Bo Xilai ran things. Bo Xilai, he had a son who was going to Harvard University. Boy going to school, Benz driving to school, and big things are going for Bo Xilai and his people. But with all of that, Bo Xilai is popular, Bo Xilai is famous, Bo Xilai running things, but Bo Xilai does not understand the simple concept that powers and influence shift. Bo Xilai is blinded by his rise in the Communist Party. So it happened that Bo Xilai's wife was doing business with a British guy. Bo Xilai, his wife, doing business with this British guy, and it happened that, bam, British guy just evaporate from the face of the earth. The fella is no longer there. So the British people realized what happened. And they started knocking on the Chinese Communist Party. They started knocking on their door. They said, hey, we know that we have a business guy, one of our people who do business with you people. But nowadays we're not seeing him. We notice that he's missing. What's going on? What happened? So Bo Xilai, being a prominent guy in the Chinese Communist Party, think that he'll be able to just wash that situation out of the way. Not knowing that the British people want him and they're watching him too. So the British people start putting pressure. The British government start putting pressure on the Chinese Communist Party that they want their guy. It cannot be that our person just poof, disappear in thin air and we hear nothing about him. Started putting pressure on the Chinese Communist Party. So the Chinese fellas said, no. Fellas, let's hold a little meeting. Chinese fellas come together at the top and they said, you know what? No, this Chinese Communist Party is a big machine. And this guy is just one little peon, one little object, one little nail. You understand? Insignificant in the whole scheme of things. So we can't sacrifice the whole Chinese Communist Party for one man. So what they did, they themselves just organized their court system, and they got him away for life. They charged him with embezzlement and corruption. So Bo Xilai got away for life. Life in jail. Rest of his life in jail. Because the Chinese Communist Party don't play. And he does not realize that he is just one man. He does not understand the concept that powers and influence shift. Bo Xilai now had this son who was going to Harvard University. Big boy going to school, BMW, big things are going. It was said at that time, it was being reported that the boy was no longer going to Harvard University. So it ended in a bad situation because Bo Xilai, prominent guy, rising star in the Chinese Communist Party, ended up having to go to jail for the rest of his life because he does not understand these two things. Powers and influence shift, and he does not understand that at the end of the day, the Chinese Communist Party will just throw you under the bus because the Chinese Communist Party is God in China, and by all means the God have to stay alive, and you, being the small minion, will have to go down. What's the take-home lessons from this thing? The take-home lesson is this: powers and influence shift. Powers and influence shift. Keep the fire burning.